Hello everyone, welcome. We're continuing our reading of the Federalist Papers. We're dealing with James Madison and Alexander's views on the insufficiency of the Confederacy to preserve the Union. These are historical texts that everyone should read. So let's continue reading these. The Amphionic Confederacies, and that is spelled, believe it, AMPHICTYONIC, really long, confederacies, of which she had been a member, left her in the full exercise of her government and her legislation. This circumstance alone proves a very material difference in the genius of the two systems. So remember, he's comparing the Union versus confederacies, right? It is much to be regretted that such imperfect monuments remain of this curious political fabric. Could its interior structure and regular operation be ascertained, it is probable that more light would be thrown by it on the science of federal government than by any of the like experiments with which we are acquainted. Okay, so interior structure and regular operation being able to be figured out. So the light should be shown on it by the federal government. Science of the federal government, he says. Science of federal government. I haven't heard somebody refer to there being some sort of science in federal government. That's political science though then, right? So I guess he's right. One important fact seems to be witnessed by all the historians who take notice of Achaean affairs. It is that as well after the renovation of the League of Aratus. Okay, so the League of Aratus. That could be something you can totally nerd out on later. Just Google that. As before its dissolution by the arts of Macedon. Okay, so Macedonia took out the League of Aratus. Snap. There was infinitely more of moderation and justice in the administration of its government, and less of violence and sedition in the people, than were to be found in any of the cities exercising singly all the prerogatives of sovereignty. The Abbé Mably, in his observations on Greece, says that the popular government, which was so tempestuous elsewhere, caused no disorders in the members of the Achaean Republic, because it was there tempered by the general authority and laws of the Confederacy. Okay, tempered by the general authority and laws of the Confederacy. The Achaean Republic. So, the Achaean Republic had influence. Well, yeah, because, he's really doing a good job of comparing this Greek model of city-state confederacies to something more unified. That's good to use historical examples because it really can make it more clear. We are not to conclude too hastily, however, that faction did not, in a certain degree, agitate the particular cities. Okay, so factions irritating particular cities. We definitely have that now. Much less than a due subordination and harmony reigned in the general system. Okay, look at that. Subordination, harmony reigned into the general system. So each particular city having a harmonious behavior to it, yet being reigned, and also submissive, right? The contrary is sufficiently displayed in the vicissitudes and fate of the Republic. Whilst the Amphionic Confederacy, remember to underline that, remained that of the Achaeans, which comprehended the less important cities only, made little figure on the theater of Greece. Okay, so less important cities not really contributing to the grandeur and glory that was Greece. Now that's, some people might say, hey, well, the littles add to the whole, whether unseen or seen. So if you haven't seen it, you can't measure it. But others would say, No, we're talking about military presence, but then the more agricultural side of the population would say, well, we feed them. So maybe our little town doesn't send 100,000 warriors, but we send all the tomatoes. You see what I'm saying? But you can see it from so many perspectives. When the former became a victim to Macedon, the latter was spared by the policy of Philip and Alexander. Okay, so Philip and Alexander, member of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, his dad, Philip. Under the successors of these princes, however, a different policy prevailed. The arts of division were practiced among the Achaeans. The arts of division. So that's going to be, I think, their confederacy then, right? Wait. Yeah. Wait. The League of Aratus. So let's see, though. Each city was seduced into a separate interest. Notice this, how he worded that. Seduced into separate interests. Not conquered, manipulated in like a more upfront propaganda brainwashing, but a sort of seduction. Do you see how he words that? Very clever. The union was dissolved. Okay, so because that separate interest got seduced, he was able to crumble the union, he contends. Some of the cities fell under the tyranny of Macedonian garrisons. Others under that of usurpers springing out of their own confusions. Okay, look at that. So, how did these people pop up? Okay, how did they cities fall, he contends, right? They were under the tyranny of Macedonian garrisons. So, wow. Whew. So, basically saying some were seduced, little by little, but there were usurpers really making a way in the chaos. Really taking advantage of the latter. Shame and oppression ere long awakened their love of liberty. Shame and oppression awakens your love, essentially, of liberty. This is quite true. I think I'm going to put like a double annotation next to that one. Because if you shame people, you can only do it to a certain degree, to the point where it's going to flip back on you, right? Because there's going to be a little bit of a survival energy coming in that person. So you can shame. It's like Cersei, when she went through her walk of shame, she became stronger, right? They shamed her, but so brutally, remember, that, of course, the only way up, is up. They put her so far down, she still had, they didn't kill her, and she got back up and was stronger. So he has a point. And then, but Cersei didn't necessarily want liberty of the people. She wanted liberty of herself to rule, right? To be rid of her enemies. Sort of a liberty from competition in a way. I don't know how to word that as well as it is in my mind, but it's interesting. And today, I think there's definitely an awakening of liberty coming from massive amounts of lockdowns. Big reason why a lot of the tech companies are now censoring you if you complain about them. A few cities reunited. Their example was followed by others as opportunities were found of cutting off their tyrants. The League soon embraced almost the whole Peloponnesus. Okay, so the Peloponnesus, that's spelled Peloponnesus. Macedon saw its progress, but was hindered by internal dissensions from stopping it. Aha! So, notice this. Macedonia takes over, right? They straight up smush the Achaeans, right? Seduce them by separate interests, he worded it. Yet, Macedonia could have went further if it didn't let too many dissensions rise in it as well. All Greece caught the enthusiasm and seemed ready to unite in one confederacy, when the jealousy and envy in Sparta and Athens of the rising glory of the Achaeans threw a fatal damp on the enterprise. Jealousy leading... once your nation becomes strong, people get jealous of it. Sparta and Athens are legendary, so, the people were not exactly wrong for, the little ones they got remembered, right? But everybody knows Athens had with its philosophers and Sparta with its legendary warriors, the 300s who also fought bravely. but also the extremely brutal methods of becoming a Spartan in male culture, right? They're very fit, very brave people. Ooh, yeah. The dread of the Macedonian power induced the League to court the alliance of the kings of Egypt and Syria. So the kings of Egypt and Syria, see, that's really cool because it just shows that even more, people forget that Egypt's in Africa and just Africa and Europe having a very deep relationship, right? Because Macedonia is by Greece and Italy, right? You see where it is, top of Africa. You got Egypt here, and then you got those right over here, right? It's very interesting, that relationship through time. Who, as successors of Alexander, were rivals of the king of Macedon. This policy was defeated by Cleomenes, king of Sparta. Okay, I did not know his name. I only know Leonidas, that one general. That's all people I know of Sparta. But here we got a new one, Cleomenes, who was led by his ambition to make an unprovoked attack on his neighbors. Oh, so he led an unprovoked attack, dude. The Achaeans, and who, as an enemy to Macedon, had interest enough with the Egyptian and Syrian princes to effect a breach of their engagements with the League. Okay, so Egyptian and Syrian princes trying to breach that league. Well, that's interesting.